This is Switzerland, a place most think they know. Chocolate, watches, banks, mountains that look like postcards. But Switzerland is not what the brochures sell. It's a collection of places so beautiful they barely seem real. 10 locations that shock the mind and redefine what nature can create. These are not the most famous, they're the most stunning. The Matterhorn stands alone near Zermatt at 14,692 feet. Its pyramid peak is so perfectly shaped it looks carved by design. Climbers die here regularly. The north face has claimed hundreds, but it's not the mountain itself that stops you. It's the reflection. Riffelsee is a small alpine lake at 8,700 feet that mirrors the Matterhorn on windless mornings. The reflection is so crisp, you can't tell where mountain ends and water begins. Photographers hike here in darkness, waiting for sunrise when the peak glows orange against black water. The surface is perfect. Not a ripple, not a wave. Just a doubling of reality so precise it feels like standing between two worlds. When clouds move past the summit, they move past its twin below. The effect is hypnotic, surreal, and gone the moment wind touches the water. East from Zermatt, carved into the Bernese Oberland like a wound in the earth, lies the Lauterbrunnen Valley. It's not just beautiful, it's overwhelming. 72 waterfalls drop from cliffs on either side. Some fall 1,000 feet. Others vanish into mist before reaching the ground. The most famous, Staubbach Falls, drops 974 feet in a single plume that turns to spray halfway down. But the real secret is behind the falls. A trail carved into the cliff leads inside the rock. Water thunders past a stone window. You stand behind the falls, inside the mountain, as thousands of gallons explode past you every second. The sound vibrates through your chest. The mist soaks you before you see the water. Above Lauterbrunnen, accessible only by cable car, the village of Mürren clings to a cliff at 5,400 feet. No roads, no cars, just footpaths and silence. From here, you see the Eiger, Mönch and Jungfrau rising like a wall across the valley. But from Mürren, another cable car climbs to the Schilthorn at 9,744 feet. The summit holds a rotating restaurant where James Bond was filmed. Step outside and the view stops your breath. 3,000 feet below, the valley floor spreads green and impossibly small. Across from you, the Jungfrau Massif glows white, and beyond, peaks stretch to every horizon. The Alps, endless and brutal in their beauty. North from the Schilthorn, past Interlaken, Lake Brienz spreads like liquid light between mountains. The water glows turquoise, fed by glacial meltwater from the peaks above. The color is so bright, so electric, it looks artificial, but it's real. Glacial flour, fine particles of rock ground to powder by ice, suspends in the water and scatters light. The result, is a blue-green glow that shifts with the sun. In morning light, it's pale jade. By afternoon, deep turquoise. And at sunset, it burns gold. The town of Iseltwald sits on the southern shore. Wooden chalets, stone paths, a dock that juts into water so clear you can see the bottom 20 feet down. It's quiet here, the kind of quiet that slows time. No traffic, no crowds, just water, mountains, and the occasional sound of a boat crossing the lake. Across Brienz, carved into a cliff face, the Giesbach Falls cascade down in 7 stages. A red funicular climbs beside the falls to a historic hotel perched halfway up. Walk the paths behind the falls, and water explodes past you in white fury, crashing onto rocks worn smooth by centuries of flow. But south from Brienz, the landscape changes completely. The Oeschinen Lake sits at 5,200 feet in a cirque, surrounded by cliffs that rise 3,000 feet straight up. It's one of the most beautiful alpine lakes in the world. The water is Caribbean blue, impossibly clear, fed by waterfalls that drop from hanging valleys above. In summer, wooden rowboats drift across the surface. In winter, the lake freezes solid, and the only sound is wind across ice. To reach it, you take a cable car from Kandersteg, then hike through meadows where cows wear bells that echo across the valley. The trail ends at a shoreline where the water is so transparent you can watch trout swimming 20 feet below. And if you sit here at the lake's edge, the cliffs above you glow at sunset. First orange, then pink, then violet as the sun drops behind the ridge. The colors reflect in the water, doubling the spectacle. It's the kind of place that makes you understand why people become obsessed with mountains. Jungfraujoch sits at 11,332 feet, the highest railway station in Europe. Trains tunnel through the Eiger to reach it. The journey takes you inside solid rock, climbing through tunnels blasted over 7 years. 30 workers died building them. At the top, you step out onto a terrace where 3 countries are visible: France, Germany, Italy. Below, the Aletsch Glacier stretches 14 miles through the valley. It's the largest glacier in the Alps, and from here, it looks like a frozen river of light, cracked and blue, flowing between peaks. Inside the mountain, an ice palace has been carved into the glacier. Rooms and tunnels hollowed from blue ice that glows translucent. You walk through frozen chambers where the walls are sculpted into shapes, and the cold seeps through your jacket, no matter how many layers you wear. But outside, on the Sphinx Terrace, the wind cuts through you. The air is so thin, your lungs burn. And the view is so vast, so overwhelming, it reduces you to silence. South from Jungfraujoch, near the Italian border, lies a valley that feels like another world. Val Verzasca carves through Ticino like a jade ribbon. The Verzasca River is famous for its emerald pools and polished stone. The water is so clear you can see the bottom 30 feet down. Swimmers leap from boulders into pools that glow green in afternoon light. At Val Verzasca, a medieval double-arched stone bridge crosses the river in a perfect curve. Built in the 17th century, it's the most photographed spot in Ticino. Below, the river flows over bedrock polished smooth by millennia of water. The stone is sculpted into curves and bowls, some deep enough to dive into. On hot summer days, locals gather here. They jump from the bridge into pools below. They sunbathe on rocks worn smooth. And the water, always cold, always clear, rushes past in shades of green that shift with the light. The valley above Val Verzasca narrows into a gorge. Trails follow the river through forests of chestnut and beech. Stone houses, some abandoned, cling to the slopes. And higher still, waterfalls drop from cliffs into pools that few people ever see. West from Verzasca, on the opposite side of Switzerland, Lake Geneva stretches along the French border like an inland sea. And on its eastern shore, rising from the water on a rocky island, stands the Chateau de Chillon. It's the most visited historic building in Switzerland, and for good reason. The castle is medieval perfection. Stone towers, arched halls, dungeons that descend into rooms carved from bedrock. Inside, prisoners were chained to pillars in chambers that flood when the lake rises. Byron visited here. He carved his name into one of the pillars, and from the castle's towers, the view stretches across the lake to the French Alps beyond. But the real magic is the reflection. On windless mornings, the castle mirrors perfectly in the water. Towers double, walls repeat, and the line between reality and reflection disappears. Above the castle, the Lavaux terraces climb the slopes in tiers of vineyards built over 900 years ago. Stone walls hold the soil. Narrow paths thread between vines. And from every terrace, the view stretches across the lake, golden in afternoon light. And finally, in central Switzerland, where mountains press close around water, lies a lake that Mark Twain called the most beautiful place he'd ever seen. Lake Lucerne spreads in 4 arms between peaks, each arm leading to a different valley. From the water, Ridgy Mountain rises to 5,900 feet. Accessible by Europe's first mountain railway, built in 1871. At the summit, you can see 13 lakes. The Alps stretch south. The Swiss plateau spreads north. And when clouds fill the valleys below, you stand on an island in a sea of white, with only peaks rising through the mist. Across the lake, Mount Pilatus climbs even higher at 7,000 feet. The world's steepest cogwheel railway ascends its flank at gradients up to 48 degrees, At the top, jagged peaks surround a hotel perched on the ridge. Legend says Pontius Pilate is buried here. His ghost supposedly haunts the mountain, but the real magic is the view. In every direction, peaks rise and fall, and below, Lake Lucerne glows blue, dotted with steamboats that have crossed these waters for over a century. Stand on Pilatus at sunset, and the entire world turns gold. The peaks, the lake, the sky. Everything burns with light that lasts only minutes before fading to violet, then black. These are not all of Switzerland's beautiful places. They're 10 of hundreds. But they're the ones that shock you, the ones that make you stop and forget where you are. The ones that prove beauty is not gentle, it's overwhelming. Switzerland is not a postcard. It's a collection of moments that refuse to be forgotten. Enjoyed the video? Be sure to subscribe. See you soon.